Hey, you want to know something crazy, right? I don't know if this goes under accountability or whatever, freedom of speech, or whatever we want to talk about, right? People don't understand there's consequences to the things that they say, be it good, bad, indifferent, right? The wildest thing to me is when somebody calls somebody a slur and then they get punched in the face and be like, well, it's my freedom of speech. Why they hit me? You didn't take it so far. What were you expecting? What you thought was going to happen?
Hey man,
Why do you think people can say these crazy things out in the world and then people send them back to their job like, hey, is this your person that work here? No, they don't no longer work here because this company doesn't believe in these views. And then they mad. Y'all ruined my life. You know I'm not like that. Who you
it,
ruined your life? Is that you saying that or is it not?
I grew up when my parents paid no mind to ignorance, and which I get, I understand. But you can't play Mr. Innocent or Mrs. Innocent when you deliberately look that person in the eye and say what you said, and think that you're in a time in a world where it's okay to get away with that stuff. I'm like, bro, everybody got camera phones and there's cameras everywhere. Everything is getting recorded. You will be put on blast. And as we've seen in the past few years, there's been a couple of people who have said a few things, going along with what you said, that because of what they said have gotten fired. And people will go so far now to even once they find out who they are, they will flame throw them so bad into the freaking dungeon to send emails to their jobs and all that shit. Like it's crazy. So with freedom of speech, there is such a thing, but it's also if you don't understand what you're saying, then why even say it at all? There's consequences for everything that you say. Back to our other episode with words have meaning. Like, you can't just be out here willy nilly, right? There's consequences and repercussions for everything. You're gonna be freaking. You will get flame sprayed if you say the wrong thing or mention the wrong thing. Just keep that in mind, people. You live free, but everything is recorded. Everything's on the internet. With that being said, we jump into this episode of freedom of speech and how free are we, right? I got my man Big Grump on the other end. You know what I'm saying? We here, we back, living. Your boy Stump the Grump over here doing our
Responses don't require reaction. And that's it. Also, they be like,
What's up?
yeah.
How you doing?
there and me, we got over there, but I'm right here. Yourself. You're trying to make yourself better each day. There's somebody out there fighting.
It was I forget because we were going through. I forgot what we were going through some inspection. He's like, it's gonna make you look fucking. When sure enough, and she's like, she's freaking yoga.
Yeah.
That
Aren't-
is a
aren't
freaking
the clothes, all
100%.
that stuff.
That's all stuff that's like appearance, small stuff. Thing. But yeah, man, as you can see,
So you outside today? You outside with all that beeping, like you trying
I
to
am
get trash.
definitely outside today. There is somebody, I think, taking a delivery. As you can
Oh.
see, I'm in my garage. Got me and my son's bikes behind us, me and my son and my wife's bikes behind us. But yeah. So I think it's funny too, because people will try and play the innocent card, like, oh, I didn't know it was okay. You can't do that anymore. You're consciously an adult. You can't say all the racial swearings and all that stuff is out. So you can't say you didn't know. I don't care. Unless you grew up in fucking Sweetberry Farm, like Montana somewhere, like in the middle, like you just didn't have internet or nothing. I highly doubt that in this day and age, you just didn't know. You know what I mean? So keep playing the Willy Lump Lump games and you gonna mess around, find out and get thumped. But yeah, it's crazy. And even us as in the military, we still have to be proactive. And even right now, in the setting that we're in, we can't just go and say things that we would like to say, mostly because we are still active in the military. And it would diminish our careers if we said the wrong things, right? So we have to be particular in how we speak and what we're saying. And especially on the other end of the spectrum for khakis and officers, especially officers, they can't pretty much anything they can say, they can go to jail for the most part. Especially they're talking
Well,
about the president.
the biggest problem with that is journalism, and they take it and run with it. They don't say, "Oh yeah, Bobby is the one that said this." Now they find out Bobby is in the military. They'll be like, "A Navy sailor reported to the news today that they said, "Hey, F this," and that's the military's views. And when it's just Bobby's views, right? And that's fine. And that's the part that people miss that, hey, no matter, we do have freedom of speech, right? But speech ain't free. It comes with consequences, be it good, bad, or indifferent, no matter what you say. Because at the end of the day, this is the way I look at it. Even if it is the truth, people take it how they want it.
Yep.
You can literally have facts that follow up with this truth. And guess what? People will still call you a liar. Or in the moment, people don't want to hear that truth. There's a lot of things that go on in people's minds, and they want to be right. They feel like it's always got to be right, or I need to stand up for this, and I need to stand for this. I'm not telling you to be afraid. I'm not saying to be afraid. Stand up for what you believe in. Understand it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. And if you're not willing to pay that cost, hey, don't talk crazy.
Yeah, that was just it's freedom of speech also comes with the term freedom of action, right? So I think it was I want to say it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, a little bit post COVID, there was an incident where this black family, I don't like using the term color, but there's this black family, they were having a family barbecue or whatever, and then these Caucasian family seen them or whatever. I don't know what the whole special was. We could probably fight up a little bit of the story, but they came over there basically harassing them with the Confederate flags and stuff. And I was like, and obviously, once again, this goes back to if you're saying you're not aware, you're innocent, whatever, but what it ended up being was that so the family that was harassing it was a husband and wife, and they had their kids with them too. It was crazy, doing all this crazy stuff, like harassing them, circling around them with the flags, harassing the families. So long story short, they ended up reaching out to their jobs and getting them fired. And then I think they got a lawsuit against them, if I'm correct. But it's stuff like that. And it's okay, is that freedom of speech? In a sense, yes, but it's also you're harassing and you're also showing your true colors of that you're actually still racist. And it's just, it goes along back to the whole Black Lives Matter thing. It was like, that's all freedom of speech, right? Not to get too into be political, but it's still all freedom of speech. You can do whatever you want at the end of the day, right? And saying Black Lives Matter isn't saying that that's the only lives that matter. It's just saying that, hey, we are unaccounted for so many different things, and we're just trying to say we matter too. They'll pull up cold cases for X, Y, and Z, but leave us in the blank, man. Even I think it was just a couple of years ago, the unmanned soldier tomb, one of them was black. And it took almost 40 plus years for them to freaking finally figure out what family the body belongs to and stuff. So it's just stuff like that. But be careful, man. If you can't sit here, especially depending on where you're at in your adult life, think about what you're saying. It's not hard. It's not hard to put some thought behind it. Don't just be out there blurring out crazy stuff. I even know right now there's somebody I'm not upset. I just like, but I know underlying, even though they're a great person, whatever. But I was like, where you grew up at and how you live, there's still part of you that's still, how do I put this? That's still probably a little bit racist, right? You don't want to admit that, and that's fine. I'm a very observant person and how people move and what they say and all that stuff. So to me, it's like, all right, cool. I just rather keep my distance because I don't want it to go there and go too far. And then freedom of speech, and then I punch you in the face. You know what I mean? It's hey,
I'll give you a smack to the kisser.
Yeah, give you all Willie love. You know what I mean? And a freaking 2-piece and a biscuit with some gravy, maybe. But I
All
just
the way
think
to the moon, baby.
I just think that people take it too over. Well, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. All right, cool. Keep saying your freedom of speech is freedom of speech, and until the consequences happen, right?
Yeah.
You can't make excuses anymore, especially when you're an adult. You can't make excuses. You can't. You literally can't. You can say, "Oh, I don't know." It is. Everybody knows, man. You may forget some shit from time to time. I admit that. Everybody forgets something, but you can't say you didn't know. Not in this day and age. There's too much technology.
Like most recently, my favorite saying is, "I got bill money."
That's a thing now.
Yeah, I got bill money. That's my favorite saying because hey, at the end of the day, yes, you do have freedom of speech, but once again, it comes at a cost and depends on who you talk to and how you try to convey your point. Now, if you want to convey your point to a person that is angry and they got bill and they tell you they got bill money, I hope you can fight.
Yeah, you know what?
Because when they tell you they got bill money, they already know you about to fix your mouth and say something wild or try to put your hands on them and try to do X, Y, and Z. I don't understand why there's a set of people. It doesn't matter what the race is to me anyway, because I've seen it across the board, the various colors of the rainbow of people. They just get it in them one day. I don't know if they're having a bad day or what's going on with them, but they just get in the moment and they spot a person that they figure that they can attack and antagonize, and they go off and say whatever they want to say. And then next thing you know, they get the lumps and they're like, why are you hitting me? Ow, ow, why don't we talk it
Yeah.
out? I
Yeah.
watch people try to talk it out and be like, hey, yo, leave me alone. Why are you bothering me? Because you don't know what that person is going through. You might be, okay, cool. You might have a bad day. That's great. Talk to the wall then. Because the wall can't come back. Because if you're
Right.
going after another person, you don't know what's going on with them. They might be having a bad day. And then you just pile it on. And guess what? You get how you kicked. You get that quick uppercut. You get street fighter real quick. And then all of a sudden you're a victim and you're talking about, hey, why did you do that? You shouldn't take it too far. Once again, in my personal belief, you can't tell a person how far is too far if you saying crazy stuff to them, if you being wild with them, if you getting out of pocket.
What
Because
you
hey,
What do you feel about that recent case about the young black boy and the white kid that he ended up, I guess he was bullying him to death, and then he ended up killing him or whatever? How do you kind of, that kind of tells like freedom of speech in the sense of this kid was being bullied. He stated, hey, stop bullying me. And then he went as far as to offer him because of that. Do you think it was necessary, or was he voicing enough that
I
nobody interjected?
okay, so one, I don't know which case specifically you're talking about,
This was
but
this is
I'm a
so this is recent, but
I'm
anyways, long no, right, sorry.
I'm gonna say it like this, right? This is the thing. People shouldn't. So let's put it like this, right? If somebody tells you to leave them alone at the end of the day, right? If you keep, as I stated earlier, with people trying to choose people because they feel like they're easy targets and they're not going to do anything to them, that's your biggest mistake in the world, right? I was always taught the person you should always be afraid of is the quiet person.
No,
Another thing that I
100%.
was always taught to be afraid of the person, and be afraid of the scary person that you back in a corner because you never know what's going to happen. My uncle told me that. He said this one time, if you ever back a person into a corner, that's the worst thing you can do because that person with their back against the wall and they have nowhere else to go, they have no exit, no getaway. That's the person you got to worry about because they're going to do something unpredictable. The hardest
Yeah.
person to fight against is an untrained fighter because you don't know what they're going to do. Don't
So I
get me
say
wrong.
Street Fighter.
An untrained fighter versus a trained fighter, cool. The trained fighter probably win every time, but all that untrained fighter need is that one lucky, misfortunate thing to connect, and then guess what? You lost. At the end of the day, where I feel people mess up at is due to the fact, yes, you can say what you want, but you have to understand at a certain extent, people will only take so much.
Yeah.
And for you to keep bothering a person every day, every hour, every minute of the day because you feel like you can, because you have the choice to speak your mind every 5 seconds, because, hey, I don't like something that you're doing, or you're just picking on someone to pick on someone. Look, I don't know. What happens is happen. Like that one guy said, I have bail money. I'm not condoning violence against anyone. I'm not condoning the things that people do to hurt someone else or someone else might lose their life. At the end of the day, both of those people, those families are both in mourning because something happened in either situation.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it that way. I'm not saying be afraid to speak your mind. I'm not saying be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. And I'm not saying, hey, crack jokes or don't roast people. But you have to know your audience. If somebody tells you they don't like something, leave them alone. Guess what? Leave them alone. Don't do it. Don't pick on someone because you feel like it's the cool thing to do. Don't be the one bullying somebody because you don't feel good about yourself or you got whatever you going on at home and people don't like you at home. If you think about it like this, and for anybody that's watching this, if you're being bullied at home, why go somewhere else and bully somebody else to try to make yourself feel better? Because guess what? If that person gives you a reaction and something happens to you or something happens to that person, don't get me wrong, everybody doesn't feel responsible, but at the end of the day, you are technically responsible for what happens because you caused it.
True.
Speech can incite riots. Hence, like that family you talked about that was harassing, because that's at that point, that's what it is. It's harassing. You're harassing a family that is minding their own business, trying to enjoy the day. It's not like you were saying, hey, we love what we love, and you don't. No, you're running around it. You are going back and forth, up and down the street every time and saying, hey, we love this. Gonna keep bothering you. Okay, cool. Great.
I think that though it's always like the entitlement to behind freedom of speech. So I can say this because I'm this person. And then when somebody counterreacts, now they're upset. And I'm like, well, like this is the result of your actions. Like you can't just be out here saying what you want to say to and everybody, like you said, everybody's allowed to have their own views and opinions and all that stuff. But when it comes down to certain things, don't be mad when somebody else counteracts that. For everything negative is either more negative or something positive on the outcome, right? So just understand that when you're talking about freedom of speech, be, unless you really don't care, you just say whatever comes out your mouth and you don't have an adult mind, understand there might be consequences for your word. And it may not come back in a form of somebody doing something. It may come back in karma. God might be like, man, I heard what you said. I got you. Don't worry about it. So just understand that. But in all freedom of speech, yeah, you can say whatever you want. But if you're not conscious about it and understanding what you're about to say, it could turn bad for you. Especially, like I said, there's cameras everywhere. So just be mindful of that, people. It's a crazy world we live in. And where's the future?
Bad world.
So,
It's a
but
bad world.
other than that, man, anything to closing thoughts?
Biggest thing, once again, freedom of speech is not free, right? It comes with consequences. It comes with possible karma. May not be for you, might be somebody you love. Always be careful and mindful of what you're saying and speaking and who you're going after. It's a difference between, hey, you saying your piece and going about your way versus harassing people or doing unpeaceful things. It's okay to protest whatever you believe in if you want to stand out there and protest. But that doesn't mean cause a riot or incite a riot. That's the part people miss up. Oh, we were just out there speaking our mind and speaking our truth. But you burned down a city in that instance by doing that. You got
looted.
people hurt and you looted. You took the opportunity to loot. That's really speaking your mind because now the point was lost because you burnt down your whole city or you burnt somebody else's. In fact, you didn't burn down your city. You burnt somebody else's city down. You set somebody else's neighborhood on fire. So what did your peaceful protest get across? What did your freedom of speech get across? Those are that's all people are going to see is the chaos, is the aftermath. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes there is a need for force, but not every time. A lot of the time, all it needs is just words, right? You should be able to speak your mind. I'm not saying because I'm saying this because we're all highly evolved humans. We can make sentences, we can form sentences, we can put words together and create sentences. Yes, your
Nothing
point
but
is not always going to get your point's not always going to get across to the masses, right? Your point's not going to always get across, and that's fine. But you have to be able to be like, hey, I can say my piece. The only time I was taught the golden rule, I was taught when I was a kid and all the way until I'm an adult, until somebody put their hands on you, then words are words. Yes, do they hurt? Sometimes, cool, they hurt, but they don't break bones. They don't do nothing else. But when somebody uses them to incite other people to break bones and stuff like that, okay, that's when they hurt. But that's when somebody else put their hands on you. And that's when you should fight back. But until somebody put their hands on you, words are words. That's why people always say in relationships, words are words. It's your actions that I pay attention to. And that's what it
right.
comes down to at the end of the day. Now, as I've said, again, this is the other part that is true. However, somebody reacts to the words that you say to them, you knew you were probably going to get that reaction. Because when you push that certain button saying a certain slur to a certain person and they mollywop you, then all right, cool. You made that choice. It's a double-edged sword to play this freedom of speech game. But
What's the
much
old school
love,
term?
share, subscribe, and what you say?
What's the old school stone? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Till you catch these hands, boy, love piece chicken grease.
Share, subscribe. Thank y'all for getting us up to 50. We love you.
Yes,
Till
sir.
next time.
Love, peace, chicken grease. We out.